New York. Ricky K back with you for episode 62 of New York State Sports here on IE Sports Radio. Direct feed for all the sports here on this final Monday in October. We've got a big show for you. Of course, we talk about the World Series. The Yankees find themselves in an 0-2 hole. Can they recover tonight? Can Aaron Judge somehow snap out of his slump? We'll talk about that. The Jets, an embarrassing loss to the Patriots yesterday. They're 2-6. Their season's crumbling. Who knows what the heck they're going to do? Who knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do? So much going on. The Giants could be 2-6 tonight to take on the Steelers. We'll look ahead to that. But the New York football season is pretty much over before the baseball season ends. Nobody would have thought that going into the year. The Knicks get off to a 1-1 start. They have a big one tonight against Cleveland. Brooklyn gets the first win for its new head coach, and they do it against Giannis. We'll talk about the local college football team. Syracuse blown out, Rutgers blown out, but Army moves up in the rankings. They're near the top 20 in a big commitment later. Big game this Saturday against Air Force. We'll talk local hockey teams. MLS Cup playoffs start tonight for NYCFC. We'll get into all that coming up next. We're in New York State Sports. We'll see you in just a minute. And of course, welcome back here to New York State of Sports and IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K back with you in the house here on episode 62, which is the number of home runs Aaron Judge has the American League record, but we'll see if he snaps out of it tonight. We'll dive into all of his struggles coming up in just a minute. I want to remind you, of course, you can follow us on X, IG, Facebook, TikTok. Just search at IE Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe here to the YouTube page. All of the shows are on here, so any time of the day, chances are somebody's going live here on the network. If you miss any part of this show, or you just want to hear me talk again, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those fun things, be sure to head over to our show pages. You see on the bottom of the screen, iesportsradio.com/New York State of Sports. You can follow me on X at Rickinator555, or you can follow the network, the show on X at NY State Sports IE. So be sure to check that out. Taryn Rodriguez this year. Taryn, how are you, man? Yes, he says a tough week for Rons, and that's why we labeled it rough week for Aaron Boone, rough week for Aaron Judge, rough week for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if the Giants have an Aaron. There used to be an Aaron Ross with the Giants, but that's neither here nor there. Or the Mets don't have an Aaron right now. Aaron Heilman, I remember, is like the famous Met. If you want to go with the Aaron direction. But we'll take our first break. We will come back. We will talk about the World Series, and Terren's got his show for the Southern California sports. They're thrilled with the Dodgers side of things, but we'll talk about the Yankees side of things and how a lot of missed opportunities and missed swings could have really changed this series. And do the Yankees have any hope of making it into a series? We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next here on New York State of Sports, your direct on IE Sports Radio direct feed for all those sports. We'll see you in just a minute.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at planetjerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And of course, thank you to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. You could be sure to snack on some of that during the World Series or Monday Night Football tonight. Also, check out Seal the Deal Wax Seals for all your fall and even winter weddings, events, invitations, all those fun things that you do in groups over the course of the next couple of months. And of course, the great IE Sports Radio team doing some cool things. Check out some merch, get some awesome stuff. Should be a lot of fun. So the Yankees find themselves in an 0-2 hole in the World Series. And as I was saying before we went to commercial, this is a series that really could be 2-0 Yankees. You could make that argument. The Dodgers have been the better team. They've been the more complete team. They've been the more relentless team is the word I like to use. But the Yankees had chances and failed to capitalize on them in each of the first two games. You go back to game one on Friday, and this was a situation for the Yankees where they have the race on the mound in Garrett Cole, and outside of some early trouble in the first inning where he gave a couple warning track shots he was dealing, the only mistake he makes really comes in the fifth inning. And in actuality, when you look at that fifth inning for the Dodgers, You get the Kike Hernandez triple because Soto misplays the ball in right. Although that's a tough play for Soto. I don't really feel he could have did much with that, and then it leads to the Will Smith sac fly. But when you take Garrett Cole's outing in a nutshell, 6 innings, 1 runs, 4 hits, and strikes out just 4. But he does throw 88 pitches, and that's going to be the one dilemma that Aaron Boone looks back on, is why is Garrett Cole only throwing 88 pitches in Game 1 of a World Series when he's dealing? Because the Yankees found themselves down 1-0. They were dominated by Jack Flaherty, and Giancarlo Stanton hits a mammoth 2-run shot to left. It was found out after the game Flaherty was dealing with hamstring tightness before the home run. I was shocked, by the way, Roberts let Flaherty throw to the heart of the order 3 times. I don't get why he did that, but the Yankees took the lead. Things were looking good. Then the 8th inning happens. Now, remember, the Dodgers kind of bailed out the Yankees in the 7th because Clay Holmes was looking terrible. He hit Max Muncy, and then they decide Kike Hernandez to bunt, which I didn't get that decision at all. Will Smith pops up on the next pitch, and then Tommy Kahnle gets Gavin Lux to ground out. All of a sudden, Kahnle escapes. But then Shohei Ohtani gets a double. Shock didn't go out of the park. And then whether you want to blame Gleyber Torres for not knocking the ball down or nobody like Anthony Rizzo for backing him up, the ball gets away from Torres. Ohtani goes to third. And then Mookie Betts gets the sac fly against Weaver, ties the game. Look, the Yankees have had defensive issues. They've had base running issues. Whoever you want to blame for it, the problem is they haven't fixed it. And that put a strain on the rest of the game because you already put your closer in. You're not sure what to do at that point. Both teams go scoreless in the 9th. Yankees end up getting a single from Jazz Chisholm. He steals 2nd and steals 3rd. And Anthony Volpe, who's not had a great series, but he got just enough of a ground out in the 10th to drive in the go-ahead run. Yankees leading 3-2, but they can't use Weaver anymore, so they go to Jake Cousins. Cousins walks the 8-hitter in Gavin Lux. Tommy Edman gets an infield single off Oswaldo Cabrera's glove because he's in for Gleyber Torres. By the way, Torres in that game also got robbed a home run by fan interference, which I still say jokingly, if the Dodger fan catches the ball, shouldn't Gleyber Torres be given the home run on it? Because now we're rewarding the Dodgers because the fan reached over the fence. I don't get that. So it's 2 on, 1 out. Boone's got both lefties in the pen. He's got Tim Hill. He's got Nestor Cortez, who's on the roster because to get these outs. So he goes to Cortez, who hasn't pitched over a month in a high leverage situation against Ohtani. And Cortez, lifetime against Ohtani, really good. So you get why. Ohtani flies out. Verdugo makes a heck of a catch, but the runners advance because Verdugo threw the ball when he was out of play. So 2nd and 3rd, they walk Betts to face Freddie Freeman. Cortez throws a first pitch to Freeman, and he crushes it into right field. Memories of Kirk Gibson in 1988. And the second I heard about the Gibson stuff and Freeman's playing on one leg like Gibson was, I knew the game was going to be over. The Dodgers have that aura with them right now. And I'm going to blame Aaron Boone for a couple of things. One being Garrett Cole needs to go deeper in that game. The edge the Yankees had is that their starters can go deep, and they needed 13 innings from Cole and Rodon. They got nowhere close to it. You have your ace. Unless your ace is going on 3 days rest in Game 4, he needs to go 100-plus pitches. That's what you pay Garrett Cole the money for. I don't care if they gave a single to Teoscar Hernandez in the 7th. You figure it out. It's a 2-1 ball game. Your ace stays in as long as he needs to stay in. So when Cole was asked about it after the game, he said Boone talked about strategy. Strategy? Why are we talking strategy for? And the decision to go to Cortez, and I get it. And I was even talking to a friend of mine during the game, and I was like, he's going to go to Cortez unless there's 2 outs. I didn't know the numbers at the time, but Tim Hill is more of a ground ball pitcher. It's tough to double up Ohtani, so he's trying to get the strikeout with Cortez, but he has to face 3 batters. To me, you would rather have Hill in that situation and find a more low leverage spot to get Cortez acclimated into the feel of the games. I don't care about warmups. I don't care about sim games. I don't care about how he looks in the bullpen. I care about how he looks in the game. And Aaron Boone managed it like this is the best of 7. He needed to manage to win Game 1. And he didn't do that. So the Yankees had really no clutch hitting in that game either when you go back to it. As a team, they were 1 for 8 with men in scoring position, and they left 11 on base. Can't have that happen. And then you go to Game 2, those struggles continued. They were awful against Yamamoto. The only guy who did anything was Juan Soto with a home run in the third. And the one thing Carlos Rodon struggles with all year is the long ball. And it got him again. Tommy Edman homered to lead off the second, tied the game at 1. Then Teoscar Hernandez, who destroyed the Yankees at the stadium back in June, 2-run shot. Freddie Freeman goes back-to-back, and Rodon came and finished the 4th inning. Basically, he's had 4 starts, 2 good ones against Cleveland and 2 error ones. This was an error one. First time he allowed 3 home runs since June 21st against the Braves. You're paying Rodon that much money. He can't do that. And the decision to start him instead of Schmidt, when Schmidt's the better road pitcher and Rodon's the better home pitcher, really comes back to bite the Yankees. But they had a chance in the 9th inning. Blake Trinan's out there, 2nd day in a row. Yankee bullpen between Holmes and Cousins and Mark Leiter did a really good job keeping him in the game. So he gets to the 9th inning. Soto gets the base hit, takes second on a wild pitch. Judge strikes out. We'll get to Judge in a minute. Stanton gets the base hit off the third base bag. So you think the Yankees got some luck going. It's 4-2. Chisholm gets the base hit. Rizzo gets hit by a pitch. All of a sudden, its base is loaded. You're feeling pretty good. Volpe's coming up. He's at least been getting swings on the ball. And he looked awful against Trinan's off-speed stuff. He kept chasing things out of the zone. Looked like a guy pressing for the moment. So because Trinan's thrown 30 pitches, Roberts goes to Alex Vesia, who's new to this series because he's been out, I think, the last couple of series for them. And Austin Wells couldn't hit. Austin Wells has been awful this postseason outside of Game 1 against Kansas City. Boone goes to Jose Trevino, which I think is the right call. You can make the case for Trent Grisham because Grisham has seen a lot of these Dodger pitchers before. But Trevino, all you needed was a single. He could at least get you that. People I've seen argue for Jason Dominguez, and to me, they haven't used Dominguez outside of pinch running in this postseason. I don't see Dominguez's first postseason at bat being with bases loaded in the World Series. It's not going to happen. Trevino gets a good swing, but got under it, flew out to center. Dodgers are up 2-0. And like I said, it's been 2 or 3 or 4 moments in this series that really have changed the way we look at this thing. But the problem right now is Aaron Judge. The Yankees are only going to go as Aaron Judge takes them. And I half joked when he was getting the postseason, he was going to turn to 2009 Alex Rodriguez or pre-2009 Alex Rodriguez before he won the World Series. Judge has had 40 at-bats this postseason. And really the only great one he's had was the home run by Clase. Off of Clase in Game 3. He's 6 for 40 with 19 strikeouts. He's admittedly chasing stuff out of the zone. Aaron Boone's talking about how his mechanics are off. And the question is, can you fix mechanics quickly in a World Series? I don't think you can. Now, I think the Yankee fans do the right thing. They're going to give him a nice standing ovation, I think, before the game tonight when they introduce the players. They'll, I think, cheer him his first at bat. But if he starts striking out against Walker Buehler, he's going to get booed. And he should get booed. Because you're the captain. You're getting a ton of money. And it's a lot of pressure on him. I get it. But that's what Soto's performing. Stanton's performing. He needs to perform. The only reason they beat Cleveland is because their stars performed. Their bottom of the lineup stinks. The Dodgers' bottom of the lineup, Will Smith is having a rough year. He's getting sack flies or clutch situation type moments. You've seen Kike Hernandez do his thing. You've seen Muncy do his thing. The Dodgers have a more well-rounded lineup than the Yankees. So the Yankees have to balance that out with their stars just absolutely raking. And when Aaron Judge doesn't rake, they don't win. And you're seeing now the Dodgers are basically walking Soto to face Judge because they right now know Judge can't beat them. So the question is, what do you do? And is it time for Aaron Boone to change the lineup? And I was watching John Boy over the weekend, and I thought Jimmy said on the show with Jake that Aaron Boone, if he doesn't change the lineup, it's probably the most thing he's questioned about him ever. And I tend to agree. You've got to change something. You can't roll out the same lineup. Now, am I suggesting to bench Aaron Judge? Absolutely not. What I'm saying is he can't hit third. Now, if you want to keep the right-left going, you want to hit Judge fifth. Maybe put Rizzo between Stanton and Judge, or Chisholm stays there because he's starting to hit. Possibly, but I think hitting Stanton third would give him more bats in the first inning. Give him a chance to impact the game because the Yankees have to start fast tonight. They have to get an early lead because if they don't, this fan base is going to get negative. And I think Austin Wells has to sit. Jose Trevino needs to catch. I know that would ruin it because the Dodgers will probably run on Trevino because everybody runs on Jose Trevino. It's like everybody runs. America runs on Duncan. Well, everybody runs on Jose Trevino. But Austin Wells isn't hitting. At least Trevino, we saw it in Game 3 against Cleveland, had a base hit when he got into the lineup. They've got to change something. And you could say, well, change brings panic. You know what? It's time to panic. You're down 0-2. You basically, I think, have to win all 3 games at home to have any chance in this series, which right now, I think, to me, I have a hard time thinking the Yankees are going to win 4 out of the next 5 against a complete team like this. They would need the Dodgers to basically make mistakes and fall all over themselves because Ohtani hasn't even done that much in 2 games. And he's going to play tonight after getting hurt in Game 2, which is shocking considering the way he got hurt, but good for him that he's back. They're doing it in unconventional ways. Like Flaherty and Yamamoto dominated them. That's ironic for the Yankees in that they tried to get Jack Flaherty at the deadline, but medicals popped up and they couldn't win the Yamamoto sweepstakes. Now those guys might cost them a World Series. Just the way it goes. So Game 3 tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Walker Buehler against Clark Schmidt is your matchup. And I look at Walker Buehler. He faced the Mets in the NLCS 12 days ago. Went 4 innings, 3 hits. He walked 2, struck out 6. He's been a different pitcher since that 1 inning in San Diego where it absolutely backfired on him. But you're looking at a guy that's probably going to go 5 innings max. And the key with the Yankees is going to be get the ball in the air. When Buehler is having success, he gets ground ball outs. He's had 10-plus ground ball outs in 3 of his last 5 starts. He had 12 in that Padre game that gave him 6 runs in, by the way. So he's going to want to get the ball on the ground. The Yankees can't afford that because they'll hit in a double plays. That could change a lot of things. Buehler this season on the road has been terrible. 6.53 ERA in his 7 road regular season starts, but he has started on the road in all 3 of his playoff starts. So something's going to kind of give in that one. The Yankees don't have a lot of experience facing Walker Buehler, except maybe Jazz, who's 3 for 5 against him. Soto's 4 for 15 with a couple of RBI. But 3 of the at-bats the Yankees have are from pitchers, so should be something to see how Judge can adjust to a guy he hasn't really seen. On the Yankees side, you kind of know what you're going to get from Clark Schmidt. Schmidt has made 2 starts in these playoffs. He's not finished 5 innings in either one of them. He's given up only 2 runs in each one. Last time, Clark Schmidt has only allowed more than 3 runs in a start once since September. That was back against the Pirates on the last day of the regular season. And one thing Schmidt has going for him is outside of Kike Hernandez, Teoscar, and Ohtani, who homered off of him in 3 at-bats, not a lot of experience. So how do the Dodgers adjust to Schmidt that second time through, which is going to be big for him because the Yankees, I think, need at least 5 innings from Schmidt. I think he's the guy, though, that thrives in this big game kind of atmosphere. He's 28 years old. And I think, to me, when you look at having Schmidt for this game, it's not that he's going to go out there and throw 7 scoreless. It's that he's going to go out there and you kind of know what you're going to get. So the Yankees, to me, tonight's on their offense. Their offense has to deliver. Their offense has to get big hits. They've been getting guys on in the first inning every game, and they can't score. And I think you have to make the momentum change because if you blow them out tonight and you got Luis Gil against the Dodger bullpen in Game 4, you can make it a 2-2 series, and then you have Cole in Game 5. So there are chances for this Yankee team. I just don't think they're going to win this series. I think they've missed their chances. They're going to look back at Game 1 and maybe regret that because they lost an all-time classic. And time will tell if they can correct themselves, but they're going to have to bounce back. The clubhouse believes it can, but they've got to prove it. They've got to prove it, and the captain's got to prove it. Tonight's big for Aaron Judge. Probably the biggest game. Obviously, it's the biggest game of his career. But he's got to bring everything to the table tonight, or this team's going nowhere. And going nowhere fast. Alden from our Arizona show is here. Alden, how are you, man? I know Alden shares the same disdain for the Dodgers, as I'm sure a lot of New York fans do. That's the way the situation goes. So we'll take our first break. We'll come back and we will talk some Jets and the embarrassment that they've been over the whole course of the season. They hit rock bottom yesterday. And rock bottom in a bad way. We'll talk about that next here on New York State of Sports and Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to New York State of Sports and IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K back with you. Couple of interesting notes to bring up. One being, at least right now, the update for the Yankees. Buster Olney of ESPN is reporting that Jose Trevino is starting behind the plate tonight. So Aaron Boone is making at least one lineup change. We don't know the extent of the actual lineup right now, but for the moment, Jose Trevino is catching Austin Wells on the bench to begin Game 3 tonight. Also, as I want to remind you, of course, you can follow me on X at NYStateSports.ie. I'll be trying to live tweet Game 3 of the World Series and Giants Monday Night Football. Thank you to all those that were joining me throughout the first two games of the World Series and the Jet game yesterday. It was a lot of fun sharing some of those moments with you guys. And the fact of the matter is, the Jets hit rock bottom yesterday. I didn't think they could hit another level of rock bottom because we looked at it last week and said, hey, they could at least get the Patriot game because Patriots are terrible. Gerard Mayo called us off the week before. And it seemed like the Jets had everything somewhat going for them because the Patriots are beating themselves. Drake May gets a touchdown run in the first quarter, then has to exit the game due to being concussion protocol. So you're basically facing Jacoby Brissett in the second half, and that's the one quarterback the Jets have not had issues facing this year. I mean, they sacked them like 7 times in week 3. So you had a 6-point lead at the half after the touchdown to Xavier Gibson in the second quarter gave the Jets a 13-7 lead. And you're feeling pretty good. But again, we talk about self-inflicting mistakes. Jets have been known for that. They gave up a big punt return to Marcus Jones. Of course, everybody remembers Marcus Jones having the touchdown against him just a year ago. Patriots get a short field. Ramondre Stevenson gets a touchdown. It's 16-14. Then the Jets are down a point. They rally. Aaron Rodgers gets them down the field. Braylon Allen, a 2-yard run, give them the lead. They're up 5 because they missed a 2. Why? Because they get a delay of game before a 2-point conversion. That is unacceptable. That cannot happen. So they get the ball on the 7. They throw the ball to Mike Williams. It's short. So you're thinking, hey, Patriots can't really throw the ball deep downfield, right? Wrong. Patriots make a 3rd and 9. They make a 3rd and 10. Brissett throws the ball downfield to Kayshon Boutte, down to the 10 because Sauce Gardner can't cover him. And then Stevenson runs it in on 4th and goal from the 1. Patriots end up winning 25-22. Look, this game was wrong on so many levels. The Jets pass rush only had 2 sacks in this game. The Patriots were 7 for 15 on 3rd down. And to me, that's hard to think because the Patriots don't have a downfield threat. Their receivers are terrible. They dropped like 6 passes. Demario Douglas was a no-show. Really, it was just Hunter Henry, Kayshon Boutte, and what's left of Kendrick Bourne. Like, that was all they had yesterday. And you have Sauce Gardner. I get your safeties were hurt, but you had Sauce Gardner. You have DJ Reed. You have all these guys that need to make plays, and they can't do it. And that's not even the worst of it. The Jets used all 3 timeouts in the first half in the first quarter yesterday. When's the last time you saw that? Even the CBS crew, Spiro Ditas and Artem Archuleta, were like, I've never seen this before. That a team is that inept that they have to burn all their timeouts early. And it takes away from the fact that Aaron Rodgers actually played pretty well. 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson had over 100 yards. Patriots are out their top safety in Kyle Duggar. They took advantage of that. Devontae Adams, 4 for 54. Tyler Conklin had a touchdown. They actually ran the ball pretty well. They stopped doing it, but they ran it for 112 yards. Breece Hall had 80 yards and 16 carries. They actually ran it pretty good. But they can't get out of their own way. Penalties galore. They had another 8 yesterday, including 3 or 4 on the defensive side. And I'm sorry, Greg Zuerlein should have been cut yesterday. Missing field goals, missing extra points. And you can look back. Greg Zuerlein kicks could have cost the Jets probably at least 3 wins. And the fact that he is still on this roster is a concern. Makes you wonder what Joe Douglas is doing. Because this situation has gone downhill. And gone downhill for the wrong reasons. So the question is the Jet situation fixable? The answer is no. Their season's over. I'll write it off right now because we gave them a chance at 9 wins. To get 9 wins, they've got to go 7-2. If you can't beat the Patriots, by the way, the Jets still haven't swept the Patriots in 25 years. This was the year to do it. And the fact of the matter is, to win 7 of your last 9, you still have Miami twice. You still have Houston on Thursday. Even though Stephon Diggs is hurt and Nico Collins is out, the Texans they struggled a little bit with Indy, but they won yesterday. I don't know how the Jets are favored, by the way, to win Thursday. I'm shocked by that. I think it's the Aaron Rodgers factor. They're favored by a point right now. But if you lose to Houston and go 2-7, I mean, you got to play Arizona on the road. Arizona's 500. They're playing pretty good. Indy's a 500 team. Seattle's a 500 team. Rams are about a 500 team. They're looking at that schedule saying, hey, we can beat the Jets. That's a winnable game for us. Damian Woody said it best on ESPN this morning. The Jets are a roster. They're not a team. And you feel bad for Jeff Ulbrich because he's trying to fill in. He's been still calling defense in addition to being the head coach, and that's not a good situation for him. He's not going to be the head coach next year. Basically good for him to get a win. The guy hasn't won since being the interim head coach. And it shows you they made a mistake firing Robert Saleh because Woody Johnson couldn't get over the fact that his Jets team lost in the UK. They made a mistake in trusting everything to Aaron Rodgers. They sold their soul, and they're paying for it. And they haven't even reaped the benefits of selling their soul. That's really the dilemma. And it's an AFC East that outside of Buffalo is terrible. Miami lost a bad game yesterday with Tua coming back. The Patriots are terrible. Outside of Buffalo, the division was there for the taking. Just think 3 weeks ago, the Jets were playing for first place against the Bills. Now they're in last in the AFC East. They're a top 5 pick if the season ended today. This is a disaster. This is probably one of the most underachieving teams, not only in New York history, but in professional history. The only time you can think of something not working out for a team, I've seen people compare it to the Brooklyn Nets with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett when they tried to bring those guys in for relevancy and it just didn't work. This is worse, though. You're talking a team that some had Super Bowl aspirations. Not me. I had them as a 10-win team that could make the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. And now the question is, what do you sell at the trade deadline? Teams have called about Garrett Wilson. Do you dare make that move? But you got to think Tyler Conklin's on the move because you get time for Jeremy Ruckert. Mike Williams is going to go. And also begs the question with Sauce Gardner, because if you're a top corner, why is Kayshon Boutte that wide open with under a minute to go yesterday? Sauce Gardner has not been a good tackler either. It makes you wonder what the Jets might do. They go big with the rebuilds? Because they're going to have to. You're going to need a new quarterback. Just think we're going to be breaking down quarterback tape in the winter for both the Giants and the Jets because they're going to need quarterbacks, even if Aaron Rodgers decides he wants to come back next year. Which I can't believe we're talking next year, but apparently we are. Look, they're just an absolute train wreck. And the same old Jet moniker applies, and it applies in a worse way because people thought they at least turned a corner to be competitive. And I don't think anybody saw this thing going as downhill as it has. That's where we are. Yet they're favored to beat the Texans. I don't know how that goes, but we'll see. Giants are in action tonight, Monday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our good buddy Ralph Calise is at that game in the Yinzer Report. Hope he has a great time. Giants are 6-point underdogs tonight. 6-point underdogs tonight. The over-under 36.5. And to me, when you look at this matchup, it's going to be Russell Wilson trying to make deep throws like he did against the Jets last week. Can the Giants cover those? Can they get pressure on Russell? Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns. I mean, it's going to be big games for them to keep this a low-scoring game. Look, Malik Neighbors, I think, should have a pretty good game. I think the Steelers are susceptible, at least in the running attack. We saw Breece Hall in the first half last week do that. Maybe Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy can do some things. But the problem I have is the Giants have nothing at left tackle. They're playing it's Wedu at left tackle instead of Andrew Thomas, who's out for the year, and you're playing against TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Good luck. This is going to be a rough night for the Giant offensive line. And I think right now the Giants are not – they're not fortunate that Russell Wilson is basically competing for his job tonight. Pittsburgh hasn't lost a Monday Night Football game at home since 1991. They have won 21 straight Monday night home football games. If the Giants do that, if the Giants can pull this upset, it does change some things in the NFC East. I mean, we could look at around the division yesterday. Washington wins that miracle Hail Mary game against the Bears. Philly looked really good against the Bengals. Dallas, second half, they were terrible against the 49ers. Dallas never really beat San Francisco anyway, so that's not a surprise. Giants win tonight. They will be a half game behind Dallas for third. If Washington had lost, it would have opened up the division a little bit. Giants will be hosting the Commanders a week. We're hosting the Commanders on Sunday. Right now, Washington is early favored by 3. Daniel Jones usually beats the Commanders, but this is a different Commanders group, and Jane Daniels is playing outside his mind. And the Giants will go to Germany to play the Panthers, which I can't believe we're sending Giants. We sent Patriots, Jaguars to London. Now we're sending Giants, Panthers to Germany. I thought we're actually trying to market the NFL because that's a really bad football game that's going to be in Munich in a couple of weeks. But we'll see what the Giants do tonight. What should be. So we'll have Yankees Game 3 of the World Series and the Giants. We also have the Knicks tonight. We're going to dive into that next. So our grab bag segment is coming up after our last commercial. We'll talk the Knicks and the Nets. We'll talk the local hockey teams and the local college football teams as well. You're listening to New York State of Sports and IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all the sports. We will wrap up episode 62 after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
And of course, welcome back to New York State of Sports, Night Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Check out Neutral Zone, really good hockey show. We'll talk about the hockey teams in just a minute. But we'll start with the Knicks as we get into our grab bag segment. For those new to the show, our grab bag is where we have our two big segments, and then we kind of throw every other team in New York, New Jersey into one giant segment. Call it the grab bag, if you will. But the Knicks, mixed bag their first two games. I didn't expect them to beat the Celtics, but the fact they gave up a record-tying 29 threes and Boston was just toying with them the entire night. Look, the Celtics are on a mission to prove something. They want to win back-to-back. I wouldn't take too much from that game. Then they play Indiana on Friday in a rematch of that Eastern Conference semifinal. They roll 123-98. Mikal Bridges had 21 points. Even though he's working on his three-point shot, he was 2 for 3. Jalen Brunson, 26 points. Josh Hart had 20 and 10 boards. Cat, 21 and 15. So really best points of the year for 2 games for Cat. And Anobi had 14. Nick shot 52%. They held Tyrese Halliburton to no points. Remember how big a factor Halliburton was in the semifinal last year when he got going. That makes the Indiana team go. Pacers were 3 for 30 as a team from three-point range. So it's not full revenge from the playoffs last year, but it does help. The Knicks will be in action tonight, 7:30 Eastern against Cleveland. They're right now favored by 2.5. Cavaliers have won each of their first 3 games, but they played their matchups so far. They played the Raptors, the Pistons, and the Wizards. Not exactly great teams Cleveland went up against, but of course Donovan Mitchell's going to be in the lineup, so that should be a lot of fun. Mitchell's averaging 23 points in the first 3 games, shooting 49%. This is always a good matchup, another good test for the Knicks because their schedule very tough through the first 4. We mentioned it: Boston, Indiana, Cleveland, and Miami. Basically playing 4 playoff teams from a year ago. So good litmus test for Tom Thibodeau's club. But which they get the performance against Boston or the performance against Indiana, we'll find out. But second chance at the Garden tonight. As for the Brooklyn Nets, they pick up their first win. Now, it's here we're not going to get a lot of wins from the Brooklyn Nets, but they end up beating Milwaukee last night, 115-102. First win for Jordi Fernandez as head coach, so congratulations to him. And the one thing you've liked from this Brooklyn team, at least in the first 3 games, you're seeing Cam Thomas perform well. He had 32 points yesterday. Did take 21 shots. He was 10 for 21, but he had 36 in the opener against Atlanta. That game could have broke either way. 24 against Orlando, and then 32 last night. So he is putting up some points. He's going to get an opportunity to shine in this Nets lineup. Dennis Schroeder had 29 last night. Nick Claxton, I thought, had a good game off the bench. He had 11 rebounds and 10 points. Claxton has 21 boards in his first 3 games. And look, you could look at this team win against the Bucks and think, how motivated are the Bucks to really win this game? Giannis had 22 and 12. Lillard had 21. But it's still a good win for Brooklyn. And I think you look at this group, the key for Fernandez is to get good work out of them as a team. And if they can do that, then they're going to find success. It doesn't get easier for Brooklyn. They host the Nuggets on Tuesday. They will be at Memphis on Wednesday. That'll wrap up October. And then they will play Chicago on Friday at home and then Detroit Sunday at home. So 4 matchups for Brooklyn this week. The Knicks, we'll get their schedule up here. We mentioned they play Cleveland and Miami to end October, and they will play the Pistons on Friday, that game in Detroit, before they play Houston on the road Monday, which we'll look ahead to. So interesting thing around the league, and very early, Cavs and Celtics, the only undefeated teams in the East. Lakers and Thunder, the undefeated teams out west, but it's only been 3 games. Let's take a look at the local hockey news. And I think we'll start, of course, with the Rangers. Rangers right now are playing some really good hockey, and they're going to get some reinforcements back. It looks like Ryan Lindgren's been back the last couple of days. Jimmy Vesey potentially could be back this weekend. So a lot of those guys that were hurt in preseason find their way back into the mix. Rangers' last game was Saturday. They took on the Ducks. Ducks are not very good. 32 saves, though, from Jonathan Quick. Lindgren scored in the third period. Will Cully scored in the third period. Rangers right now are 6-1-1. Now, their one loss was concerning, and that was against the Panthers. And look, you're not going to panic over one loss, but the fact of the matter is you wanted to make a statement in that game. You wanted to at least get, maybe not revenge, but feel you could beat a team that out-physicaled you in the playoffs, and Sergei Bobrovsky had 24 more saves. Florida jumped out to a 2-goal lead in the first 3 minutes, but nothing really much you could do there for the Rangers. But they've handled their business in every other direction. Like Igor's been good. We mentioned Quick's been good. They had the 7-2 win over Montreal last Tuesday. They'll take on Washington tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Matt Rempe is up with the club again. Remember, they sent Rempe down to Hartford to get more playing time, but you've got to think Rempe is here because they want to have an enforcer with Tom Wilson. So that kind of changes some things. And the Rangers, with their salary cap situation, are going to move some things around on a daily basis, see what they can do. But you got to be thrilled with this Rangers start. They will play Washington tomorrow. They will play Ottawa on Friday at home, and then a big matchup Sunday at the Garden with the Islanders. Remember, last year they waited until February to play the Islanders. Now they played them in November. So big news, at least for the Rangers this week, locking up one of their own long-term. Now they haven't gotten the Igor deal done yet, but they lock up Alexi Lafreniere, 7-year deal, $52.15 million, about $7.5 million per year, a little bit under that. And he's earned this. He's had a really good season. He had a breakout postseason last year. I think people forget with Lafreniere, he's only 23 years old. And he's a player that's going to be the future of the Rangers. We talk about this core right now with Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin. Igor hopefully will be a part of that core. We'll see if the Rangers can lock him up. But to have Lafreniere at least now in the fold going forward, whether you have to tear it down and rebuild or try to retool, at least he becomes one of the centerpieces of that. So great for the Rangers. They were able to lock him up. Who knows how this deal will shape, but at least Lafreniere, who was struggling to begin his pro career as a number one pick, it's not going to be a linear rise all of a sudden. But he's found his niche, and he found it in a good way. So congratulations to Lafreniere on making that big money. Devils are getting a really good start here from Nico Hischier. He's got 9 goals already. They dominated the Ducks on Friday, a 6-2 win. Nosen had 2 goals. They're getting healthy with their defense. That was one of their big issues, at least in the early portion of the season. They're getting some guys back. Pesci was one of those guys they signed in the offseason. Be good to get him into the mix. But I've been loving what I've seen from Hischier. He's been really good so far. They're 6-4-2 on the year. Did take a tough loss to the Islanders in overtime on Friday. Jesper Bratt tied it with 1:29 to go before Bo Horvat won in an OT. And then Thursday, Detroit beat them 5-3. Red Wings were able to score 2 goals in the final 4 minutes of that game. But Hischier has been an absolute tear. And if I can pull up his numbers here real quick. I mean, of course, everybody talks about Jack Hughes, but Hischier is kind of the 1A in New Jersey. He's got 9 goals to lead the league, 3 assists, 12 points right now, just tied for 11th. But it's been weird. Hischier has scored 6 of his 9 goals in losses. Again, weird stat, but it is what it is. But the Devils, they've been able to put pucks in the net. That's been a given. But when you lose like 8-5 to the Lightning like they did a week ago, 5-3, 4-3, they're able to keep Anaheim in check. But they're going to have to start getting that defense into shape. They'll be on the road in Vancouver on Wednesday, in Calgary on Friday, and then the big matchup with Connor McDavid and the Oilers, remember, next back here on Monday. As for the Islanders, a couple of really bad news, at least for them. Anthony Duclair is on long-term IR. That was really the centerpiece for this team, and really there's a lot of distraction around this group. They played Florida on Saturday at UBS, and they got up to an early 3-goal lead 11 minutes into the game, and then surrendered 6 unanswered goals as Florida cruised 6-3, and Lou Lamoriello didn't make there was not a lot of media availability after the game and all this stuff with Patrick Waugh. So not really what you want from the Islanders, who really erased all that momentum from the great win against New Jersey last week. They will host Anaheim tonight. Anaheim is not good. Ducks lost to both the Rangers and Devils, so Islanders try to complete that sweep. They play Columbus on Wednesday. That's a game I think the Islanders should have success in. Then they will play the Sabres on Friday before playing the Rangers. So I look at this New York Islander team, and again, without Duclair, it's going to be interesting to see how much offense they can actually generate to win. They're going to have to rely a lot on their defense. Sorokin had only 11. They lost the game against the Red Wings, so they only had allowed 11 shots. But Sorokin's been pretty good. They've got Varlamov. They've got that 1-2 punch that you like. So we'll see if the Islanders can kind of rebound. They're 3-3-2 in the early portion of the year. Moving on to college football and Syracuse, man. That was Kyle McCord, 5 interceptions against Pitt. 3 of them went to, I think it was 2 of them at least, went to the house. And that was an ESPN national televised game that Syracuse got the doors absolutely blown off them. And it's embarrassing. Because, again, you look at a Syracuse team missing an opportunity to really make something of their year. They missed it against Stanford when they blew the game late. And then you have McCord, as I said, 3 defensive touchdowns for Pitt. McCord had 5 interceptions. And the game was 31-0 at the half. And Pitt's a good team. Look, they're in the top 20 for a reason, but you cannot get blown out the way they did at home. That was unacceptable. Syracuse is next against Virginia Tech at home this week. Virginia Tech is favored by 4, so Syracuse a home dog trying to get to bowl eligibility and get to 6-2. But their chances in the ACC, at least to win it, are very slim because you look at Pitt's undefeated, Clemson's undefeated, Miami's undefeated, SMU is playing well, and Pitt plays SMU this week. That's a really good game out in Texas to watch. But Syracuse can still have, if they can beat Virginia Tech and beat Boston College, they're going to have at least 7, probably an 8 to 9 win year. So there's still a lot in front of them, but that was a game that could have really made a lot of their season that they let slip away. Meanwhile, Rutgers continues to fold. They've lost 4 in a row. The cool part for the Fox on Friday was they got Yankees, Dodgers, and then had the same markets in place with Rutgers against USC. But the Trojans just ran roughshod on the Scarlet Knights. They won 42-20. USC ran it 23 times for 135 yards. Woody Marks had 15 carries, 94 yards, 3 scores. Miller Moss was 20 of 28, 308, 2 scores, didn't turn it over. And the problem for Rutgers was they just couldn't get into a rhythm. They did cut the lead to 8 midway through the third on a 25-yard catch by Christian Javel for a touchdown from Calic Manis. But the problem for Rutgers is there's just not a lot of consistency. Demir Miller had a good game, 11 catches for 131, but a lot of injuries on the defensive side, and it's coming back to bite them. They're 4-4. They have to win 2 of their last 4 to get into a bowl game. And we mentioned they have 2 home games with Minnesota next week, and then Illinois later in the year. Illinois lost to Oregon, but that's still a ranked team and a really good one. And then they go to Maryland and go to Michigan State. So can they split a road win in 6? Sure. But if I'm Greg Schiano, I would not want to be a team that goes from 4 and not making a bowl game. As much as the success he's had at Rutgers, for a scheduled member, they didn't play Penn State this year. They didn't play Michigan. They didn't play Ohio State. They didn't play Oregon. You don't make a bowl game, not good. So not a good game for Rutgers. Army was off. Now they are the only undefeated service academy because Navy got blown out by Notre Dame at MetLife last week. Army is in action this weekend. That is a noon kick on CBS against 1-6 Air Force. Army right now is favored by 23.5. And look, they're going to be able to run the football. You look at an Air Force team that their quarterback has thrown 1 touchdown the entire year. Now, this is normally a matchup where you're going to see a lot of more rushing than passing. And Bryson Daly has been – he's a guy I think you would really look at it. Like, he's not going to win the Heisman, but if Army continues to win, you've got to at least put him right up there in the not in the conversation, but just want to give him more some love because I think that he has earned that and then some. Army hosting Air Force, by the way, first time since 2020. So that's going to be fun for them. Army has won 5 of the last 7. They won in 2023. Air Force, so the Army trying to win back-to-back. They have everything to lose, though, in this game, but I can't see how 1-6 Air Force team beats Army. Now, the one thing to look at would be if Army has really 2 more games they can slip up. This one and the game at North Texas. But North Texas was bad against Tulane, couldn't run the football. Or couldn't stop the run. The problem Army also is going to have is if They stay undefeated, but Boise State keeps winning. Boise State's right now 15th. They beat UNLV. Only one group of 5 gets into the playoff. So Army's got to beat Notre Dame and then hope they get some love from the selection committee. But a lot to be decided. But they get on November with their season in their hands. That's all they could ask for. And then real quickly, soccer tonight, NYCFC against Cincinnati in best of 3. Game 1 is at Cincy. We talked about it last week. Cincy's being 2 out of 3. I think Cincy's going to win this series just because I think NYCFC does not play well in the second half. But can Santi Rodriguez and Maxi Morales and then their goalkeeping with Matt Freese keep them in it? Sure. I wouldn't be shocked if Nick Cushing's club pulled out a win, but Cincy has been one of the more consistent teams this year. I don't see how they lose. And then Red Bulls against Columbus. That starts tomorrow. Jen B will have that covered on Show of the Land, but she'll probably make a good pregame before that. Got to keep an eye on for the Red Bulls is Emil Forsberg. He's playing well. He had a good performance against Columbus to end the year. This guy's battled injury for the bulk of the year. If Forsberg can keep it up, maybe they pull an upset. And I was reading something that was really interesting with the Red Bulls. We talk about consistency and wanting to find success. And maybe you don't win a championship, but you find a way to get it done. I think they've been in, from what I can tell, they have been into the postseason 15 straight years. So to make the postseason 15 years in a row, that is the longest streak in MLS history and the longest active streak in North American sports. So it gets a little overlooked because, again, it's MLS. It's not something that's going to get a lot of attention, at least here locally, as it should. But 15 straight years making the playoffs, you can't ask for much more from your fans. And they will play on Tuesday and then play Sunday at home, 4:30. That would be game 2. NYCFC will play Saturday, I believe. Yep, Saturday game 2. That is 5 o'clock at Citi Field. That series got moved from Yankee Stadium to Citi Field because the Yankees were in the World Series. And they were obviously between game 5 of the World Series, if there is a game 5 being Wednesday, Thursday. Game 5 be Wednesday, so between having to change the field from baseball to soccer in a couple days would be tough. So Citi Field will be game 2, NYCFC and Cincinnati. So as we wrap up episode 62, again, a lot to be determined with the Yankees tonight. Can they find a way to save this series, save this season? There is no line, as I can tell right now with the lineup out. Aaron Judge is staying at number 3, but they have moved Anthony Volpe up to 6th behind Jazz Chisholm. But apparently Judge is staying where he is. The question is, can he find a way to break out of this slump? Because if he doesn't, they are in absolute big trouble. They can't win this series unless Aaron Judge starts to break out of offense. But can they at least get the series back to LA? I think that's the goal for the Yankees. The minimum they have to win 2. It would be great if they won all 3. To pass this team to beat the Dodgers 4 times, 4 out of 5 games in this stretch. But Derek Jeter's going to throw out the first pitch tonight for Game 3. So not only can Fox be throwing out the first pitch, it's going to be a lot of fun. Jets, where does this miserable year go? They've got a game on Halloween against the Texans, but they've hit rock bottom. Giants play down against Pittsburgh. They're trying to not match the Jets' 2-6 record. We have the Knicks in action, Nets in action, basketball season underway. We have college basketball to look forward to. That season starts next week, so we'll look ahead to the college basketball season next week. John's, Rutgers, Hall, Syracuse, and all that fun stuff. Army tries to stay undefeated this weekend against Air Force. The local hockey teams are in action. Of course, that big Ranger Islander game on Sunday. We have Rangers Islanders and Commanders Giants going up against each other. In that window, so much to look forward to as we head into November here on IE Sports Radio. A lot of new shows, a lot of new hosts, a lot of fun stuff going on in the network as we finish up the year 2024. So for all of us here at IE Sports Radio, Ricky K saying so long to your sports. Enjoy the World Series tonight. Enjoy the Monday Night Football for the Giants. And I will see you back here sometime soon. Until then, good night.